Welcome to the Lifestyle MD podcast, the show dedicated to busy adults navigating family, career, and the challenges of midlife while striving for lasting wellness. I'm Dr. Angela, and I'm honored to be your guide on this journey. For this final segment, where I am talking with Dr. John of Thrive Family Health, we are discussing men's health. One topic that men don't bring up on their own is mental health and depression. And it looks different for men. It's not necessarily going to come across as sadness. Oh, I'm sad, right? So let's talk about that. Tell me, what are your feelings and thoughts about mental health? How does it show up for men?
Absolutely. The biggest thing is we start to see, especially with depression, it's not the classic. It could be you're not doing fun things that you used to like doing. You may stop pulling away from hobbies or friends. You may have a decreased appetite, just not in the mood for eating like you used to do. Being really tired and just fatigue and just really not having the energy to do basic things. Those are three critical things that we can see is like early signs of depression. So we're always making sure we're screening for depression. Usually we try to do it each visit because it can be a cumulative effect. So if we can just nip things in the butt, we can get patients the help that they need. And there's a lot of different root causes for depression. So is it too much stress going on in someone in your life? Are you too focused on work, right? You're not connecting with your family, your friends? Is it a manager at work that is making you feel bad? Is it trauma? Did you have a tragic loss and you're just burying it inside? It's been years and you really haven't sought the help that you need, and that truly has physiological changes to your body and brain. Or, right? Or is depression, is it truly from something else? Even we see a bipolar quite popping up, and people might be like, what, bipolar, you're happy, you're sad. And it's not that subtle. It can be as much as you may have one episode of maybe that you're hypomanic, but then you're getting depressed the rest of the time. And technically, you have a diagnosis of bipolar, which really medication would come in to help treat those symptoms of depression. So you got
Mhm.
what's really the cause of this?
And is there something that you're doing to compensate, perhaps making it worse, right? So that's where things like alcohol and drugs and substance, THC is very popular, and people be masking or they're treating it and don't realize that they're self-treating because they're indulging in things to feel numb.
Happens, I see it too much, especially with the sleep issue where the men aren't getting their sleep because they're not feeling good, and then they start drinking to help relax. And then before you're drinking five, six, 7 beers a night, and you're like, oh, wow, how did I get to this point? I guess I didn't realize it slowed up.
Which is important that we ask those questions because it's really sometimes surprising to me. A lot of people have not made the connection that there's a problem.
Is we see that where you're functionally able to do things, but at the end of the day, you're stressing out the body.
And with depression and anxiety, another thing that came to mind is the irritability and withdrawal. We talked about that, I think, in the first segment, where that might be the first thing that a partner brings up. It could be affecting even your performance at work. That might be the main way that it's expressed in men. And I don't know that I fully understand like why it shows up that way differently. Women can experience it too, but it's overwhelmingly very much a male depression characteristic. Why is that? What do you think that's coming from?
I know with women, obviously, you've got much more, especially in your 40s and 50s, hormonal fluctuations. And with men, you're going to have testosterone that slowly kind of decreases over time, but it's not as drastic. It's going to be much more of an environmental factor with just your change of stage in life, the midlife crisis. Your kids are growing out of the house, and maybe could it be you're frustrated with even if you're having a low sex drive, and these things are affecting you because so there's all these things that can lead and build upon the anxiety. The other thing too is ADHD, right?
Mm.
Sometimes the ADHD component can present like it is anxiety. More so, we'll see that in younger males, but definitely it still happens. And
That's so true.
they, you know,
That's a huge overlap there. I find I will often catch that, pick up on that there's an ADHD diagnosis when anxiety is overwhelming, right? And it's okay, who's driving the car here? Is it the inattention, inability to stay on task? I don't like the title or the diagnosis. I'm hoping that this is another thing that gets relabeled ADHD because it's not a problem that you can't focus. You tend to only really be able to deliver your focus on the things that motivate you or excite you or that give you the dopamine that's going to maintain your attention. And then we can have a whole conversation about that. But yeah, it can look like in part, and I think the reason for the withdrawal and irritability is similar to why ADHD often looks like anxiety. It's a
Right.
frustration, it's
Yes.
an overwhelm, and it's, I should be able to do this. I should be able to snap out of it. I should, I could, why can't I? And then it becomes an internalization, right?
Yes.
And instead of showing sadness, maybe it's like that you're short with people because you're feeling a sense of overwhelm. You're really overwhelmed by what you're experiencing. And in fact, you feel powerless about it. And you, as a man, that's a sign of weakness. And you may either be irritable or you might withdraw because you don't know how to deal with it and you don't want people to perceive it of you, right? So I feel like that might be where that comes from. I could be wrong.
And the big thing is going back to what I said before is seeking that help is such a huge strength. And as men, we need to do that. And that includes going into therapy and talking with a licensed psychologist so that way you can learn these basic tools in order to strategize how can you get out of this frame of mind. You're able to thrive and be a good quality of life, and there's ways that you can get out of this. It's not like this is how it has to be. It's important.
It doesn't necessarily even have to amount to medication. Medication, it can be a very powerful tool. But
Yep.
what if the driver for that is overwhelm and burnout in a job or something, things go on in your life and you need help navigating that? What if it's because you have inadequate sleep? Because inadequate sleep is a huge driver for mood issues, right? What if it's something like simple like that and you just don't know it?
And you won't know unless you get connected with a
Yes.
three doctors so that way we can figure these things out. And
Yes.
don't be going on Google and ChatGPT everything because it's going to give you the whole list, laundry list of everything. And they don't know
Or
who
if you do, take it to your doctor, discuss it with them before you go down a rabbit hole. Okay.
to break it down. We know he's gonna be able to help you and get that diagnosis the best we can. Because the other thing too is I mentioned bipolar previously, but even, and I've seen this too, where hypomanic episodes present similar to anxiety in the state of excitement or maybe internalization, the heightened jitters, more of that internal energy that can feel like you're maybe anxious, something's going on inside, but it's actually a sign of a hypomanic episode, part of the bipolar. So these are things that you may not necessarily realize, but we got to figure out what's going on because the root cause of how you're feeling, whether it's medication, therapy, lifestyle changes, they all have a different piece
Yes.
and all play their own role. So not one.
They're all different cogs in the wheel and levers to pull. Don't be afraid to tap on all the tools. There's tools at your disposal. You won't know what they are and what's going to help you if you don't seek help.
Because I see that all the time. I know everything. I don't need any help. It's, well, got that scope to look at everything as a whole and figure out what's
And
going
I think there's a lot of temptation in society nowadays with all of this information at fingertips where people feel like they can and should be able to just solve it all on their own because they can look anything and everything up.
on. It's with the pros come the cons.
That's overwhelming in and of itself, right? Because how do you navigate that from the perspective of a person of one? That's where having people like us and mental health providers who have the perspective of training plus all of the context of the experiences we have with all of the people we've taken care of, we're looking at it through a much broader lens than you're capable of on your own.
Absolutely. Because we have that expertise of being able to decipher where are these symptoms really coming from.
Yes. So I'm really glad that we've had this particular conversation because it's easy to talk about physical health and eating right
Mm.
and exercising, but mental health and emotional health are inseparable from the conversation because they all tie together. If you're not in a good headspace, it's difficult to make those healthy other choices for yourself and vice versa. So it's huge. I really appreciate you taking that
And
time.
I'll even tie in the spiritual health for those believers. That's critical because everything's connected. So one thing will affect the other. Get out and For those that pray, connect, and get
Mhm.
out in your community of disciples, and we're all connected. So
You know how much faith plays a role in just my journey as a physician and mom and all things. And we, among our pillars, we talk about in relationships and having purpose and that being a huge driver. It's a important critical aspect of the pillars of your well-being. And there's a reason is because we weren't meant to do life alone, right? And we all have some purpose. And that's one piece we didn't touch on and I think is critical is that if you don't have purpose, you feel like you've lost purpose. And for men, if that's your role as a provider, a caretaker, like that's like innate in. So if you're lacking and you don't feel like you're serving in that purpose in some way, shape, or form, that can affect you. I could see that. Yeah, that's a big deal.
absolutely. And there's all different things that can knock you off that track of losing your purpose, but we got to get you to find it. So that way
You got
you're,
to reconnect with it, right?
yes, shine bright.
All right, rapid fire here, and then we'll close out.
Sure.
What is one thing that you want I'm going to start with the younger group, every man, young man between 18 and 30. What is one thing you would like for that man to know?
Biggest thing is just be aware of your health now dictates your health in the future, right? So you might feel invincible, you might feel like everything's great. It doesn't necessarily give you the green light to do whatever you want because you start to create little habits that will build what your lifestyle will be 20 years down the road. Your teenage and 20s isn't necessarily going to change. In 20 years, they'll stick with you. Proactive, be preventative.
Now, what about one thing for every man by the age of 40?
The age of 40, you're starting to notice maybe some of the aches and pains may have caught up. And so the biggest thing is maintaining what muscle mass that you may have. We start to see muscle mass slowly decreases every year as you age, staying active and making sure you're engaging those muscles. So that way we see as you age, you have higher metabolism and just overall higher quality of life.
And final age group by the age of 50. What should every man know?
Biggest thing are all those screenings are important. We mentioned them before, more so for medical things, prostate cancer, colon cancers, and just being aware of the time is caught up. We want to make sure that things are still healthy, but as you age, especially we see in men with heart issues, cardiovascular issues, they tend to show themselves in this stage of life if you've not been active in your health.
And what is the most underrated aspect of men's health that you want to drive home today? Just the one most.
Biggest thing is just go to your doctor, start that relationship. We love it when you come in and don't have necessarily any concerns or complaints because we want you to stay that way. So please just go and get your checkups.
So good. So good. I am so grateful that you spent time helping me have this conversation. It's a really important conversation. Any last words that you want to leave for the audience?
I just want to say it's been a pleasure, Dr. Angela, for having me on your podcast. It's really an honor. So I appreciate so much being a guest today.
Thank you. And how can people find you?
You can go to my website at thrivedpc.com, or you can find me on social media, Facebook at Thrive Family Health, Direct Primary Care, or on Instagram, Thrive Family.
Excellent. So if you're in Grand Rapids, West Michigan area and you are looking for a doctor, Dr. John is excellent. So I have to put that plug out there for you. And also he's a DO. So I think that's a valuable skill. There's not a lot of DOs out there still practicing OMM, and he still does offer OMM as part of his care. So thank you so much for being with us today. It's been a pleasure.
So much, Dr. Angela.
This has been another episode of The Lifestyle MD. Special thank you to Lou Musa for the show theme music, created with Bree Photography and makeup by Janae for the cover photo. And if you enjoyed this podcast and you haven't already, please subscribe today. And you may also follow me on Instagram at Angela Lifestyle MD. I am Dr. Angela. Thank you for joining me today. The information shared on the Lifestyle MD podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. Listening to this podcast does not establish a doctor-patient relationship with Dr. Angela Andrews or Direct Primary Care of West Michigan. Always consult your own healthcare professional regarding any medical concerns before making changes to your own healthcare plan. If you're experiencing a medical emergency, call 911
or seek emergency care immediately.